Smith River this summer. Really excited to be working with you all alongside you all this summer. T-minus 9 days, I will be finishing my undergraduate degree in psychology, so very exciting. And I believe this is my 5th year on staff, so really looking forward to it. And I use he, him pronouns. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Bruce.
Austin. My name is Bruce. I see some familiar faces here, which is very exciting. I started with SSP back in 2013 as a youth. This is also going to be my 5th year on staff, and I am kind of, sort of, almost done with my degree in university studies. I have 2 classes left that I'm going to finish out in the fall, so I'm very excited for that. And I go by he, him pronouns. I'm going to pass it back over to Megan, I believe.
Great. There's still so many people joining. It's fabulous. Okay, so today we are going to be using a parking lot document, which is a fancy Google Doc that we will be using to park any questions that we have. So we're going to move pretty swiftly through the call here. So feel free to add any questions that you have to it, things that we breezed over, you want to know more information about, and we'll answer it throughout the call. And it's a live document, so you can go through at the bottom and see broken out into different sections, some Q&A from previous sessions that we've answered questions for. So take a look at that. Adam's going to be dropping a whole bunch of links in the chat today, so we'll skim the surface on a lot of topics and great resources to know for later. So today we're going to try to make this as interactive and fun as possible for a Zoom call. So we encourage you to engage in the chat. We'll have a breakout group session later on. You can meet some people that are going to your session, and we encourage you to leave your cameras on so you can get to know one another's faces. And 3 weeks are represented here. So we'll try to break y'all out into people that you'll actually be with this summer. We also have a lot of guests here today. I don't know if I can see them all on one screen, but we've got folks that are our community partners. So if you could go ahead and in the chat, just introduce yourself as we get going here. I think I saw Aaron, not sure who else is here. And then also folks from our medical advisory council. So I see Dave, possibly some others. So introduce yourselves as well. And then some board members. So thanks all for being here. Really appreciate it. So with that, let's move on to the next. So today you might see that some of us already have renamed ourselves a special confusing way. So what we're going to be doing is rename yourself based on the week that you're attending. You can find that in the chart. We're looking at the last 3 weeks here. And then what role you have this summer. Are you a youth, young adult, family member, or connected with SSP in a different way? And then your name and pronouns if you're comfortable. So a couple ways to change your name in Zoom. You can hover over your participant name, go to more and say rename, or you can find your photo in the grid, use the triple dots and say rename from there. Adam can also help you if you can't figure it out, so you can direct message him. All right, with that, let's move to the next slide. So to create a really fabulous week for all of you, we have some expectations that we've set out for us and norms within our community. So to make a safe space for both youth and adults, we have our safe community policy. So that's a new name we've called our safe sanctuary in the past, but there's a big PDF document that we encourage, especially adults, to look through and just learn how we can set up safe spaces for young people. Being engaged and active participants is, of course, a key part of SSP. So it doesn't matter how old you are, we love for everyone to get engaged and try new things, whether that's a power tool or singing a silly song or sleeping in a tent or cabin like you all will be doing this summer. So a couple other documents we'll share. There's a preparation packet, which you might have seen already. It has a whole bunch of things like daily schedules, weekly schedules, packing lists, especially for Norte County. It can be quite cold and not maybe the California summer experience you are familiar with. So take a look, and there's some great suggestions of what to bring, especially for your trip this summer. Next slide. So in particular, adults at SSP, I know a lot of you are here that are adults. We have special paperwork I'll need you to complete to prepare for this special week. So thanks everyone for your work in doing that. I know June 1st, yesterday, was a big due date for volunteer paperwork. So please let Veronica or I know if you have any questions and we can help you out with that. We do have some different requirements this year based on some California laws that changed. So it can be confusing. Reach out and we can help you. One of the most important rules highlighted in our safe community policy is the rule of threes. And so that means no youth and adult are ever alone together. It's very easy to accomplish though through our cohorts and how we set things up. So that just means 2 youth and 1 adult, or 1 youth and 2 adults. That's one of our golden rules at SSP. So although we all appreciate and support and love youth development, we are all here to grow and learn together this summer. So I want to emphasize that you'll all be asked to try new things throughout the summer, and I hope that we can all embrace them and enjoy the learning process throughout the summer. And fun fact, you don't need to know how to build a ramp or do construction skills before you come to SSP. That's the best part. Our staff will train everyone in what they need to know to accomplish a project. And this year in particular, you'll hear from Austin later on. We have a lot of community partners that are actually going to be leading our work in Del Norte County this year. So stay tuned for that, and we'll teach you what you need to know. I'll pass it over to Austin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Megan. So as you may or may not know, 2022, every year we have a theme, and this year's theme is In This Place. It's sort of a very exciting moment for us as an organization. As I'm sure you all are aware, being physically distant after 2 long years is sort of weird for us, something we're not used to, but we're so excited to be back, and we wanted to sort of have a theme that sort of honored how excited we are to be physically back in these partner communities that we really love so much. But beyond just being physically in this place, there are other things that will encompass the idea of in this place that we will probably be exploring a little bit more throughout this summer. But thinking about things in terms of relationships, sort of enduring and transforming. But again, most importantly, in a literal sense, being with our community partners this summer is the most important thing, and something we are very excited about for this summer. And in this place this summer, there is going to be a little bit of a name change. Maybe you've gone to this site quite a few times, or you know the idea of Smith River as a site. This year, one of the names that we're trying to sort of pivot to this summer is Del Norte County. We are trying to serve the community at large, not just in Smith River, but all over, all the way from Southern Oregon, Brookings, all the way through Crescent City, and all around the community. So you can see some beautiful pictures here of places that we've been and places that will be. So again, very excited for that.
Yes. With our new site that we're going to be at, if you've been before, a lot of the site-specific things do remain the same. It does get cold at night, so please, please, please pass on to anyone not in this call right now. They need to be bringing a hoodie or a jacket or a fleece or something. Also, please remember we're going to be going out to work sites, so we do need you to be bringing closed-toed shoes and long pants. You never know where you're going to be, and you want to be prepared for those work days. Also, we do have a water day still. We are going back to the Smith River as we do every year. So be sure to bring water day items like bathing suits, towels, that sort of stuff. Also, as you can see in the picture here, Austin is standing in one of the cabins that we will be privy to be using this year, courtesy of the Howland Hill Outdoor School, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So the floors, as you can tell, are wooden. That's a pretty common thing for SSP. However, with the limited space in these cabins, we do ask that you bring specifically sleeping pads and bedding to go with it, of course. Please do not bring air mattresses. Likely, we will not have space for them in these cabins, so pads would be ideal. Also, upon showing up, staff will require a negative COVID test. Thank you, Todd. The COVID test can be either the rapid or the PCR. We just need something that says that you are not COVID positive, one for every member of your group. And we'll cover more of that later. I'm gonna throw it back over to Austin now.
Awesome. Thank you, Bruce. So as Bruce sort of alluded to, we have a new location this summer that we are so blessed to really have. It's a brand new opportunity for us that we just really couldn't turn down, with the beauty of the place itself and also the opportunity it holds for us. So this is the Howland Hill Outdoor School, Redwood National and State Parks. As you can see here, there's some pictures along the sides of some beautiful cabins outside, as well as some outdoor eating areas and just general beautiful pictures of the area. There's a lot of multiple single-use restrooms, which is really great. It's going to be helpful for us sort of in this time of making sure that we're protecting ourselves for COVID. And as well as there's a couple outdoor hand washing stations. And I believe that we do have one of our lovely community partner contacts in the chat who's actually helped us get this started. So I want to go ahead and pass this over to Aaron and maybe talk a little bit more about the space and some of the work that we'll be doing this summer with you.
Great, thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, hi everyone. My name's Erin Gates, and I am the Deputy Superintendent of Redwood National and State Parks. And I am so excited that we are getting to benefit from the work that you all have been doing up in Norte County for years. And firstly, we wanted to make sure that we could be a part of providing you a wonderful place to stay. So I'll start with just continuing what's already been shared about Howland Hill Outdoor School. You will be surrounded by the forest, but you will only be about 10 minutes away from Crescent City and all of the amenities. That place is yours for the summer, and it is an incredible place to be. It's surrounded by second growth forest, but there are hiking trails that will take you into old growth redwoods, so the tallest trees in the world. And actually, there's a section of forest just about a quarter of a mile away from this outdoor school that is the forest that is known to be sequestering or sucking the most carbon out of the atmosphere in the entire world. So it is the natural mitigation to climate change, which is going to be just right outside your door. So very excited that we get to host you at our outdoor school for this season. But in addition to that, we also get to benefit from your service multiple days during your time up here. And you are going to be working hand in hand with our trail crew. And our trail crew is fantastic. And they are responsible for basically building and maintaining trails throughout Redwood National and State Parks that take millions of people into old growth redwood forests. And some of the projects you're going to get to work on are actually one project that is making its rounds across the country and the world right now. You guys can Google Grove of Titans Trail. I don't unfortunately have anything to screen share, but the Grove of Titans Trail is something that our trail crew just completed. It's phenomenal. And there's still a few sections that are left that we are working on, and our crew would love your help with that. In addition to that, if you guys, you said you're going to have a river day. Well, you may have more than one, because if you would like and you are feeling adventurous, one of the options you might have is also to help us inside the Smith River in installing our seasonal bridge. So we install a seasonal bridge over the Smith River from the Jed Smith campground to the other side of the river and accessing all of our trail systems. And that bridge we put in July. So that's an option for your team. Yeah, awesome. Mark and Joran are already ready for the bridge work. So yeah, that's where you get to literally be in the Smith River and help install a seasonal bridge. And then third is we have some trail work that we are doing to build bridges for our community on a trail called the Damnation Creek Trail. And that's work that we're also hoping that you might be helping us out with. But basically, it's an opportunity for you to get inside, behind the scenes experience with a trail crew that may end up changing your life, because who knows, you might decide to get a job with building trails in California state parks or any other um, agency that does this kind of work, and get to call places like Redwood National and State Parks home. So I think that's all, unless anyone has any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Erin. Really appreciate you being here and giving a little bit more insight to the beautiful location and a lot of the really great and meaningful work that we're going to be doing around the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving right along here, as sort of Erin mentioned a little bit, the idea of some potential projects that we'll be doing. And something really great about these is that these will be full site work days. And one of the things that we're hoping to sort of get out of this is along with doing a lot of really great meaningful work, it gives us an opportunity to mix cohorts a little bit and give us the opportunity to sort of be around everyone. We'll be doing these really great big projects. You can see here, there's pictures of Bruce and I removing some invasive plants, as well as some previous work done within the Taloa Dunes, and just general, the ability to sort of being able to be all together and have fun and see each other working beyond our cohorts. So this is one of the really great benefits of having these full site work days.
And with these community partners that we're doing our full site work days with, we also have a slew of community partners that we'll be having individual groups go out to and work with. So a lot of them are actually going to be community gardens this year. College of the Redwoods is one that we've done in the past, as well as the Open Door Community Clinic, who does work with therapy patients for showing them gardening and practicing therapy through gardening. The Kids Garden as well is a classic of Smith River SSP, now Del Norte. We have done so much work there, and it is one of the most commonly acclaimed favorite site of people who have gone to it. Other community gardens we're going to be working with this summer are Bess Maxwell Elementary and Crescent Elk Middle School. We're actually going to help them start or restart their garden programs for their students so they can learn about local plants and how to grow them. We're also going to be working with First Five, which is the actual brick and mortar side of the kids garden. Likely doing some painting there. They offer a lot of family services for Del Norte County. And then flipping to a few other places we're going to be working with, we will be working with 3 different tribal communities around and in Del Norte County, including the Elk Valley Rancheria, Taloa Dani Nation, and the Klamath tribe. Will be working with their food village. And then as well, we'll be doing work with St. Timothy's Episcopal Church up in Brookings. So we do have quite the coverage in Del Norte County. St. Timothy's does a lot of work with the homeless population in Brookings, and they have some great work that they're doing there. Other projects that we can see that we've done in the past and we will be doing, it'll make up about a third of the projects that we're doing this summer, will be the classic SSP home repair projects for individual homeowners, which can include ramps, fences, painting, etc. These are all photos of projects that we did in 2019, and aside from the indoor painting one, are all things that we could do this summer. So get excited for that. If we do painting, it'll be outside. We're just trying to minimize the risk of transferring COVID to any homeowners or having them transfer it to us.
Alrighty, I know that seemed just like a whirlwind of information. There's a lot going on. There's new places we're being, there's new partners, there's some old things, some new things, a lot going on. But go ahead and just take a second, maybe stretch, get in tune with your body, make sure that you're ready. I know sometimes sitting through a presentation going 100 miles an hour might be a little intense. Take a second to just let yourself be. This is a great reminder while you're doing this. If you have any outstanding questions that we just don't have time for in this call, put them in that parking lot. We have a lot of people working really hard behind the scenes to get those answers out to you, as well as some really great resources that we've been working on to do that for you. Alrighty, I think we should be just about good with this stretch break here. And we're going to be going into a little bit of a video and some really important info. So here we go.
So now we're going to talk about all the details you've been wanting to know about how to be safe at SSP regarding COVID. So we've had a great team of folks working on our plans for almost a year now. And I think, Dave, you might be the only one today. So if you want to just unmute yourself and give a longer introduction.
Sure. I'm Dave Herbert. I'm an infectious disease specialist. I've been associated with SSP for many years through my family, as well as through a relationship with some of the SSP staff. And I feel very fortunate to be able to help SSP accomplish these journeys and adventures that will keep, hopefully, our staff, our volunteers, and our communities as safe as possible.
So what we're going to do is play this video and then have a handful of minutes to answer any questions that you all have. So come up with them as you watch the video, and hopefully we can pick Dave's brain while we have him here. So with that, let's play the video.
Hello. In this video, we'll talk about some things we've learned about COVID-19 and how to keep every member of the SSP community safe as we return to overnight programs. These safety plans were developed by SSP's Medical Advisory Council, 5 healthcare professionals familiar with SSP's programs. Each safety measure is an act of service to our partner communities. Thank you.
Hello all, my name is Katie Strong. I attended SSP as a youth for 5 summers as a volunteer and also served on staff and maybe met some of you during the years of 2017, 2018, and 2019.
Hi, my name is Kelly Shriver. I'm a board member with SSP.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Lariva. I was on summer staff in Shortland.
Hello, I'm Dave Herbert. I'm a physician specializing in infectious diseases, and I've been helping SSP develop ways to keep our volunteers, staff, and community safe in this time of COVID.
Here's a brief overview of what we will cover in this video. Vaccination, testing, and quality masking, being outside and volunteer cohorts, hygiene, as well as our response plan to positive cases. We'll talk about all of these things in more detail, but thank you for joining us.
I know that most of us feel that we're just done with COVID, but it is clear that COVID is not done with us, as infections are once again increasing. One of the most important ways we can protect one another from COVID-19 is through vaccination. While we know that vaccination does not completely prevent COVID, it markedly decreases the risk of getting infected, as well as the risk of passing along an infection if you are infected. And of course, it dramatically reduces the chance of serious illness if you do become infected. Since the SSP program inherently includes communal living and interaction among people from many different regions, it is important for us to add as many layers of protection as possible to prevent the spread of this virus. And vaccines are our first line of defense. This especially protects SSP's partner communities, which are historically medically underserved and therefore at higher risk if an outbreak occurs. So to make the SSP service trip as safe as possible, we require full vaccination, including boosters as eligible for everyone. This means being fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines, or 1 dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccination, plus boosters as eligible. Since our program is voluntary, we are unable to consider any exceptions since they would place people at increased risk. Thank you and have a great trip.
This summer, we're gonna mask up anytime we're in enclosed indoor spaces with people who aren't in our cohort. That means places like kitchens, shared bathrooms, and any indoor community spaces are all gonna be masked areas. We also know that really wearing high quality masks makes a big difference. Those are masks like an N95 or like a KN94-95 mask. These have extra layers and filters that really help stop the spread of coronavirus and help protect us and the community that we're serving. We also know that if you have a mask, that's not enough. You gotta wear it the right way. So we're also gonna make sure everyone is covering their nose fully and has a really good seal with their mask around their face. Masks are not going to be required when you're in outdoor spaces where you can maintain physical distance with other people, or when spending time indoors with only your cohort. So that's in spaces like wherever you're sleeping and your vehicles. SSP is going to provide 2 masks for every volunteer for every day as needed. But if you have a favorite brand of mask that you want to bring with you, you're welcome to do so, so long as it's as good or better than the N95s or KN95s that SSP is requiring.
Another way we can prevent the spread of the virus is thorough testing. This is why we require all volunteers to provide a proof of a negative COVID test upon arrival. Both rapid at-home testing and PCR lab testing work. Be mindful of your exposure between testing and arrival. If you feel sick, please stay home, even if you have a negative test. When you arrive, the first thing staff will do is verify each person's negative results with the group leader. Staff will also test everyone 48 hours after arrival and as needed throughout the week. SSP will provide and coordinate all midweek testing, so don't worry about bringing tests with you.
This year, we'll do everything outside as much as possible. All home repair projects will be outdoors to protect the safety of residents and volunteers. We will also eat meals, sing, and do evening program outdoors. See our packing list to make sure you're bringing the right gear and clothes for the weather. Volunteers also have the option to tent camp outdoors at any SSP site.
Cohorting is an important precaution to decrease the impact on the broader community in the event of a positive case. Cohorting will mean that volunteers will stay in their same arrival group, vehicle, work team, and sleeping space. Cabins, tents, and dorm rooms will be shared by cohort. These will have improved ventilation. We will also cohort when eating, when distancing is not possible, and stagger shower times by cohort. In the event someone tests positive, it will be unlikely that they will have spread the virus to other cohorts. Now, we understand this is an adjustment to how we normally mix groups at SSP, so we thank you for your flexibility.
Of course, being safety conscious also means having good hygiene. SSP settings may be rustic, but we have tools to help volunteers and staff do this well. SSP is increasing the availability of hand sanitizer and hand washing stations and uses gloves when serving food. We will also continue our practices of using soapy water to clean, followed by a bleach solution to sanitize the surfaces. Opportunities to serve, which cohorts rotate through, involving daily cleaning and sanitization of the kitchen, tables, restrooms, and high-touch surfaces.
We know that in spite of our best efforts, there is always the possibility of a positive COVID case at SSP programs. In the event someone becomes symptomatic or tests positive, that person will isolate, and others who meet high-risk exposure criteria will also be tested and increase mask usage within their cohort to prevent additional spread. Those who test positive have 2 options: 1, isolating on site for the duration of the week, or 2, departing from site to travel home. Especially for those with symptoms, SSP does encourage departure from site. If you test positive within 48 hours of departing SSP site, please notify us so that we can identify other potentially exposed volunteers. All this to say, you have your support from this Medical Advisory Council, and all of these measures have been developed with the intention of decreasing risk to keep everyone safe.
Now that we've gone over SSP's safety plan, we hope you feel more prepared to serve with us. You can read more details in SSP's written materials and can always reach out directly with any questions. The Medical Advisory Council will also make themselves available as we navigate a new way of being together in person. Thank you for prioritizing safety. We can't wait to serve with you.
Thanks to the entire Medical Advisory Council for preparing that. Now is a time we have to answer your questions. I've been trying to answer some in the parking lot and in the chat throughout, but we have Dave. He's our go-to person here. So let's take advantage of this opportunity. So now that you've seen our video and have links to the handouts, what is a remaining question you have about how we can be safe at SSP this summer?
Dave, I have a question.
Sure.
I've heard, and I haven't had my next booster because I got COVID after even having the first booster, and was told by other people that have had it that not to get the booster for several weeks after that because you're already covered. Is that true, or what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, the whole question of boosters is a really good one. Thank you for bringing that up. So if you got COVID, it sort of works like a weak booster. It's not as effective as the vaccination itself, but it does offer some additional protection. So if you've had 2 doses and a booster, as it sounds like you have, and then you also got COVID, you're probably reasonably well protected. We usually don't give an additional vaccination within 2 to 3 months after a case of COVID. So if you're within that window and you were boosted beforehand, then you're fine. The related question is, how about that second booster shot, which is usually the 4th shot that people say, who should get that? When should they get it? The recommendations are that anybody who's over 50 or who has any chronic illness or immunosuppressive condition should get it. And you should be at least 5 months since your last regular dose or your second or your first booster. So many of us have been holding off to get that second booster, waiting to see if there was going to be another wave of COVID because the boosters are maximally effective for only a few months. Well, that wave is here. So go get boosted if you're over 50 or have any of those conditions. And it's been at least 5 months since your first booster.
But if you've had it, giving proof of or should you go ahead and have the booster if it's been really recent?
If you've not been boosted and it's been more than, say, 60 days since your COVID infection, you should get boosted.
Okay, and that goes for the teenagers too. They're going to require that they have their second, like all their shots, just so I can tell our kids. Plus 2 boosters for the kids too?
No, for teenagers, they only need 1 booster.
Okay, thank you.
Those are really great questions, Patty. I'm going to drop a link to basically the written version of the video that you just watched. So this is a great resource, and you can look on page, let's see, the second page is all about vaccinations, and it has it pretty clearly written out that when to get the booster and when it's required. We do have some people that are just now getting vaccinated, so they won't be eligible for a booster. So that's the exception there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great question, Patty. Dave, do you want to answer Kristen's question in the chat about a cohort, or do you want me to?
Let's see. Yeah, so what is a cohort? Yeah, that's a great question. So well, actually, you probably should define it so that I don't mess it up here, Megan.
We make a great team, Dave. Yes, so what we're asking groups to do is your vehicles that you'll be traveling in, that will be your cohort. So for your situation here at the outdoor school, cabins can accommodate up to 12 people. So it's pretty similar to a car size. So we'll be reaching out directly about how many cabins each of your groups have, because the cohort, you don't have to wear your mask around them, which is the great news. But if you're sleeping in the same space, it's basically your cohort is that 12 people. So it's a little more flexible. So it's not being very clear here. So for example, if you're a group of 15 people, you could break up into 2 vehicles, and each of those vehicles would be their own cohort. If you're a group of 7 and in 2 vehicles, you could still be 1 cohort because you're 1 work team essentially. So like I think Katie said in the video, it's same arrival van, same work team, same sleeping space. We're trying to just limit the spread. And then the one piece that sort of changes, because of in Smith River, we've got these full group work days, everyone's traveling to those sites together in their vehicles, and we can make different work teams from there since we'll be outside the whole day. So we have a different opportunity in Norte County because of these full group days to have more interaction outside of your cohort.
And Megan, I would just add that the highest risk times for all of our volunteers are going to be eating and sleeping. Now, sleeping, it's pretty easy to stay in your cohort because you're going to be assigned a bunk that's in your cohort. But eating is going to be a challenge on those times when if there's a monsoon going on and you're not outdoors, it'll be very tempting to migrate away from your cohort to go chat with, Sally Joe, who looks like somebody you knew before. Don't do it. Your mask will be off, high risk situation. Please stay with your cohort.
Kristen, also on page 5, it talks more about cohorting.
Yeah, I guess I'm still just confused because if we have like a group of 18 people and we're driving in 3 cars, that means they'll sleep together, but they're two, like, can I make a 12-person cohort then?
So yeah, that's a really great question, Kristen. I think the answer is yes. So we can have, it'll be based on cabins at the end of the day. So
okay. And then if they're sharing a tent, then that would be my other 4. So 2 cohorts, even though they're in 3 cars. And they might be mingled.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like 3 and, or,
these are the right questions to be asking. So I'd say like, think about the spaces that your groups are sharing with and what's the limitation? What's the smallest unit? So is it the tent? Is it the car? Like what's the barrier? And then working with, I think Austin and Bruce can do some troubleshooting too. We can look at your week and say, okay, we've got 5 cabins, you have the flexibility within your 2 cabins to put people where you want them.
Sure.
So do you
want it to be the smallest? Like, so say a car fits 6, the tent is 4, the cabin is 12. Do you want the cohort to be 12, or you want us to try and have 2 cohorts everywhere except for sleeping and have 6 and 6? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't really work like that, right? It's like if you're sleeping in the same space, then you're essentially a cohort.
Okay, so 12 is the, okay.
Yeah, so we can talk more about that. I was talking about sending out an email to everyone that says like, here's how many cabins you have, and then you'll know from there, how you need to make your cohort. So thanks for bringing this up. We definitely need to provide more instruction on what does this mean in this setting and how does it actually going to work. So thank you, Kristen. Tenting question. June, do you want to elaborate on what your question is? I'm going to say it's about the ability to tent camp at the outdoor school. You can see this is a cabin right here in my view. So there's plenty of space that people can camp at the outdoor school, but there should be enough cabins available for everyone. It looks like every group has their own cabin, so you won't necessarily have to share. I think there's only maybe one exception to that. And yeah, the availability to camp there is space. You got to bring your own tent, but it's a beautiful, in the redwoods, just like the campground would be. So there's lots and lots of space. People can actually bring up RV trailers too. There's no hookups, but if folks have them and want to, that's another option as well. Any other questions for Dave while he's here? We can figure out the cohorting and the cabins and the vehicles as it gets closer. Thank you for bringing up those questions. Yeah, Mark, good to see you.
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Good to see you too. I'm 49 by the time I get there. So Dave, should I go ahead and get boosted? I'm thinking that might make sense for this trip. I mean, I'm already 1 booster. Should I get a 2nd booster?
Yeah, I don't see a downside to that other than maybe feeling a little bit tired for the day after your vaccination, but it certainly could keep you safer and your group safer.
Okay, yeah, I think that makes sense. Thank you.
Well, let's move on to our next activity, but the parking lot is always open. Ask these questions. If we don't know the answer today, we'll get back to you. And really appreciate everyone's careful thought about these details, which seem easy on paper, but when you go to do it, are more complicated. So thanks, Dave, for your expertise. Really appreciate you guiding us.
Hey, Megan, can I jump in again for a second?
You sure can, Mark.
I'm just wondering about this designating an adult volunteer to be on call in the event that one of our youth or adults test positive. How would you recommend that I sell that position to somebody? Like masks on, windows down on the way home, I guess? I mean, because who's going to want to come pick up somebody that's COVID positive, I guess is my question. I don't know if you have any thoughts around that that might be helpful. Otherwise, I think it's just windows down and masks on, and you hope for the best. Say some prayers, right?
I think you said it all, Mark. Yeah, I think we have to follow the isolation rules, right? And want to be as safe as we can. Obviously, a parent or family member is probably the first choice, but everyone has limitations in their life. So we'll, problem solve that. And I think the idea is have that conversation before it happens, and hopefully it doesn't. And we'll do all that we can to prevent that from happening. But it will be better to have a plan than to have avoided it and not thought about it. So that's my advice.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Now for the fun part. Over to you.
All right. The fun part. We're going to have a little question session, get to know each other. We're going to get into breakout rooms. Hopefully everybody by their own week. I know some people might not know exactly what week they're in, but we're going to have 2 questions for each person to answer. First one being, what's your favorite place in the world? And the second one being, what is the one thing that you are the most excited for this summer? Could be SSP, could be something outside of that. We want to get to know everybody. So those questions, I believe they'll also get dropped in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing so we can split into breakout rooms.
Adam, are you ready for us?
I am, with the exception of the person who just joined us, but I will assign her once I open these rooms. Okay, here we go. Have fun in your rooms. You got 6 minutes.
Just like that. Does anyone need help getting to where they need to go? One by one. Hey, Brenda.
Just for how quickly you can click on your screen there.
Do you want to go to a breakout room, Brenda?
Ah.
Good.
You're good.
I did all the other times, but I'm okay.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, of course. I'm home today.
There's way too many people today to keep up with it all.
There's a lot of people.
Like,
I took.
Alrighty, so for those of you that may have heard that last little bit here, yes, we are doing a Kahoot. It's a great way to test your guys' knowledge, get you involved a little bit, and also the Kahoot music is just like superior. It slaps, it's great. So we're gonna listen to that. We're gonna have some fun questions for you all here. There's gonna be like multi-select questions. So some of these questions might have multiple answers. It's gonna be single select questions. So just be prepared for that. I'll go ahead and read the questions out as they come. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started here. Unfortunately, it looks like the player cap is only up to 20 players. So for those of you that want to play, join in quick. And if you're not able to join for any reason, just follow along. We're not here to see who gets the biggest score. It's just about having fun. So you can see there's the game pin here. So you're gonna go to www.kahoot.it, type in this game pin here. And one thing I do want to say is if we can have SSP appropriate names, nicknames are great sometimes, but preferably just the name that you go by, so that way we can kind of put faces to names a little bit and get familiar with you all before the summer. So this is great. I already see we've got a few people in here. And again, it looks like we only have about room for 20 people, so you might not get in, but that's okay. You can follow along. And we're gonna get this going pretty quick here to make sure that we finish off on time this evening, get you guys all out right at the right time here. So looks like we're at 18 players. So we got room for 2 more. I'm gonna go ahead and wait for another minute or so. Okay, we've got room for one more. And as soon as I get that one spot filled, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Alrighty, there's our 20 players. So if you're not in, just go ahead and follow along here, but we are getting started. Okay, so this first question is going to be a multi-select, and it is, what norms does SSP expect from all its volunteers? You can see a little picture of the 2019 Smith River staff and some volunteers there. Big smiley, happy faces, and hopefully we'll see lots of those this summer as well. Alrighty, you can see, yes, these two were correct. Really, really good job there in terms of answer spread there. Yeah, treat all other members with respect and engage participation in all aspects of SSP. Alrighty, we can see here scoreboard. We've got Jack at the top with 1706, not too far behind. We've got a true or false question here. I need to know how to use tools before coming to SSP. We can see it looks like a picture of a 2019 work team working on a wheelchair ramp, a classic SSP project here. Perfect. Yes, false. You do not need any experience. The staff are going to be adequately prepared to train you in all the things you'll need to do to be prepared for this summer. Jack's still on the top, but we've got a little bit of shift in the bottom three of the top five there. Going into question 3, we've got another multi-select question, and this is, what can you find in the prep packet? Maybe read this very carefully here. You can see a little screenshot of the prep packet table of contents. It is a great resource for you to use and refer to if you have any questions. We've got a lot of really great information in there for you. Yes, all of these are correct. You can find all of these things in the prep packet. And if for some reason there's not something in the prep packet you're looking for, we have the parking lot for you, and we've got people working hard behind the scenes to get you those answers. Looks like we've got a move in the leaderboard here, a big shift. Going into question 4, what is SSP's summer 2022 theme? You can see a picture here of the design we'll be using for this summer on our t-shirt, drawn by one of Smith River staffers, Ashley Rios. So you'll be seeing them this summer. You can tell them how great their art is. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you all in this shirt. And yes, the answer is in this place. If you didn't know that by now, you know now. We've got 4 correct answers in a row. A little bit of change in the scoreboard here. Going into question number 5, we have another multi-select question, and this is, who are SSP's partner communities this summer? You hear my dog barking in the background there. Alrighty, yes, as you can see, the 3 options here, Del Norte County, Saley, and San Diego. Again, using that name, Del Norte County, as we are serving the county at large and not just within Smith River alone. Got another player on a 4-answer streak. Oh, lost their 4-answer streak. Uh-oh. Alrighty, going into question number 6. We're halfway through here, still plenty of time. And what should you pack for the work site? This is important. Got to make sure you got everything here. You can see there's a picture of Bruce and myself at the site visit earlier this spring, where we were able to remove some invasive Scotch broom that's devastating some of the lands up in Del Norte County. So really happy to be doing that work up there. Yes, as you can see, gloves and clothes to use, definitely. We want to avoid crop tops and definitely shirts with profanity. We are representing SSP as an organization, so we want to make sure that we're professional on the work site. 6 correct answers in a row. Wow. Love that 100% record here. Where will we be staying in Del Norte County? This picture here might give you a little bit of a hint. We're really excited about it, talking a lot. You can see I'm pretty bundled up in a coat there in the cabin, so If this hasn't been clear to you already, make sure you bring plenty of warm clothes. It's going to be pretty cold at night. And yes, while you might have thought Smith River Community Hall, we actually will be staying at the outdoor school out in the redwoods in those cabins, and make sure you're dressing warm. A little bit of a move, Robbo moving up the leaderboard there. Going on to question number 8, we have another multi-select question. Which of the following are community partners of SSP Smith River? So think about this really hard. We've got a lot of community partners this summer. This picture here was done in one of the gardens within the community with a beautiful mural in the back. And who knows, maybe you might be seeing it this summer. Yes, all of these are correct. So all these 4 and so many more community partners that we're going to be working with this summer. Back in the game. Okay, got a little bit of a shift in the top 5. Going into question 9, when should you take your first COVID test for SSP? You think about this really carefully here. Yes, really great job. Yeah, 3 days within 3 days of arrival, and preferably recommended is the morning of departure, just to cut out a little bit of that wiggle room there. But as long as it is 72 hours before. Alrighty, going into question 10, only a couple more questions left. We're gonna go rapid fire here. When do you wear your mask at SSP? Think about this carefully. Watch that really great video. Got a lot of resources from our medical advisory council. Perfect. Yeah, you guys know the drill. Indoor activities except sleeping, eating, and personal hygiene. One thing I do want to note is that if we are on the work site and you feel comfortable when interacting with homeowners, you're more than welcome to put your masks on for that particular reason. But apart from that, yeah, indoor activities. All righty. Scoreboard starting to even out. Going into the last 2 questions here. Almost out of time. Why do we wear masks at SSP? This is an important one. We'd see here, there's a picture of Ashley Rios, who did the artwork for this year, as well as who's going to be on staff serving with Bruce and I and all of you this summer. Yes, perfect. You all know the drill. At the end of the day, we are wearing these masks to protect each other and our community partners. Yeah. Looking at the scoreboard, we've got a last minute rise to the top. We've got one last question left. This is a multi-select question. This summer, I will think about this really, really hard here. You can see this is a picture of Megan, Bruce, and myself at the site visit in the spring. Overseeing the beautiful ocean along Crescent City. Awesome. Yes, all of these are correct. We're hoping for you all to do all of these things and so many more this summer, and we're really excited to be with you. So wrapping up this Kahoot here, we've got a little bit of a podium show. Laurel with 9 out of 12, great job. Maddox, 10 out of 12. And we've got first place here with 10 out of 12. Doran, great job, everyone. Really appreciate the participation there. We got some runner-ups at the bottom. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Megan to finish us up for the evening.
Thank you, everyone. We are at our 1 hour time. So really appreciate you being here. Lots of great questions. Continue to check out the parking lot. I have a couple more answers in there, and feel free to add more and scroll through the whole doc. But yeah, we're here to support you as you prepare for your trip. So I'll be stopping the recording and folks can take off, but we'll also be sticking around if you have some other questions that have come up and you want to chat about them. Austin and Bruce will be reaching out to your liaisons a couple weeks prior to set up some phone calls and next steps with updated info from the summer. Y'all have the perk of being the second half of the summer, so they get to try it out for 3 weeks, learn a lot, and give you some updates on what's going on. So Really appreciate you all. Enjoy the end of your spring and school years, and we'll see you this summer at site. Thanks, everyone. Happy Thursday. We're making it. Yay. All right. Well, who wants to ask the first question?